on his birthday?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm gonna call Maxie real quick.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I can't even unmute her.
You, Brian, and Michael were wearing that. It looked like a restaurant. Where was that?
That was the Riverwalk in San Antonio last year. We
Oh,
celebrated
okay.
both their birthdays in between their birthdays.
Okay.
Good.
It was fun. It was
And-
just
and
a son
Michael
and mom
hasn't reached
weekend.
Michael hasn't reached that point where he's just celebrating anniversaries of a special date on his birthday, so he didn't have to acknowledge his age.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Eddie.
Morning. How's everybody?
And you are live on YouTube.
We are?
Yes, you are.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Kent. Hey, Eddie.
Got to be careful what we say here.
Mondo.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, all.
Hey, Eddie, I want to apologize for bothering you so much about Rotary, but I figure that I just need to be part of the same crowd.
No, I appreciate your input.
Okay.
We're going to need more.
Interesting times we live in.
Yes, we're going to have to.
And you are live on YouTube, everything you're saying and doing.
That's fine.
Just trying to get Maxie,
Mhm.
left a message.
You said we are live. Everybody stop talking. Why was that?
I know. It will be there forever.
It used to be that you talked about different things and disclosure was protected, but now, no.
Exactly. You just have to assume.
Mhm.
I just stepped away to turn on the fan, okay? It's getting hot in here.
That's better. It's a foggy day in San Francisco, Mondo.
I know. I was trying to find a Godzilla one that's go in the background, but I couldn't find one. So I'll get one later. Godzilla and Rotary. Godzilla and Rotary.
By July 1st, I've got to get this office cleaned up so it's presentable and workable.
Hey, Debbie, I downloaded the images
Okay.
and I saved them. Then I got to upload them.
Right.
the
So if you
Zoom?
go to your Zoom panel at the bottom,
Zoom panel. Okay, first of all,
and
I
where it's-
downloaded my images. I got okay.
right. And so you download them. And if you go to the bottom where it says stop, at least mine says stop video, and there's a little caret pointing up.
Uh-huh.
Click on that. And on the right-hand side, second one down, it will say choose virtual background. Click on that.
Stop. You said stop video.
No, no. Don't stop your video. On the little caret, click where it opens up a panel. And it'll say FaceTime, high def camera, choose virtual background, video settings. There's a little
It
caret
says
to the right
virtual-
of.
Well, it says virtual background.
So choose virtual background, click on that.
Okay.
And then,
And then hit
on
hit
the
the plus signs?
upper right, yeah, the plus sign, and then wherever you save that file, upload it, and then it'll add it to your collection. It'll always be there.
Okay, and this says allow Zoom access your photos from device settings, privacy. Okay. Well,
And then you can
It
just add
just-
it, and it'll be in your collection.
Photos,
Like I've got
okay.
like 10 different ones I can choose from now.
okay. I'm using my iPhone. So let's see where it's at.
That one I don't know then. I'm from working from
Okay.
a laptop.
Let me just stay with that here. Let me see where I got it. Okay. Oops. Went off. All right. There you go.
Justin, have you tested
I'll
the
look for it.
YouTube? Because I can't get on the YouTube.
No, but I can.
You might want to, because I'm on our YouTube channel, but I can't, I'm not seeing the live.
Okay.
I may just have gone to the wrong location, but I followed our link and your good directions.
Well, I hope I didn't mess that up. So I am I'm looking at it here.
Okay.
And now you might need to refresh the page, Debbie.
Let me do that.
So that it can.
I
pick up
see
the-
it now. Yep, because I had it up and ready. Yep, we're good.
All
Cool.
right.
So,
Now listen,
Yes.
welcome to your
Hi.
district conference.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
That's a good point. I thought about that a lot yesterday and this morning. So, yep,
Are
This
you
is
okay?
I'm fine. Yeah. It would have been a beautiful weekend to have the district conference.
I
It
know, I was
still
just
is.
thinking,
Oh, I know.
just thinking
Of all
about that.
things, right? The weather's like
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Picture perfect. Yeah. But what are you gonna do, right?
I've got 9:01. Are we ready to
Yeah,
roll?
we're ready.
Ready to go? Yeah.
All right. Allison, the floor is yours, I think.
Okay, well, I'd like to welcome everybody to our virtual four-way test speech contest. We were just discussing that had it been not the world we live in today and the other world, we would be over at the Omni Hotel doing this. However, we are here live on YouTube, and actually we're pretty excited about it. There's been a lot of work that has gone into this, and I actually think it opens up a lot of opportunities to share our four-way test speech contest literally around the world. So I want to thank Tim Dowling, and I'm not going to talk very long here, but I want to thank Tim Dowling for his diligence and his, really paying attention to the details and things that we needed to do to make this happen. So Tim, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. And again, thank you very much for everything you've done.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Allison, and for being the district governor. I know what a big chore that is. Welcome all of you to the 2020 Rotary District 5930 High School Student Four-Way Test Competition, where, as Allison said, we'll be breaking new ground this year by conducting this competition by Zoom. It's really commendable to the students, the teachers, and the staff that we got 11 students competing today in these difficult situations. The top 3 students today will earn $1,500, $1,000, and $750. And each of the other students will take home $250 as their area winner. Each student will also get a plaque recognizing him or her for being the area winner. And the top 3 students today will also get a trophy recognizing their achievement. Before we hear from these outstanding young people today, let me briefly tell you a little bit of history about the four-way test, because it has a rich history, which began in the middle of the Great Depression. With companies failing and much of the country living in very harsh conditions, everyone was trying to figure out just how to survive. One man, Rotarian Herb Taylor, with his company on the edge of bankruptcy, came up with what he thought was the only way out: a simple ethical standard for his company. Because of this standard, the company changed its marketing strategies, its customer service, and their relationships with its competitors. In fact, Mr. Taylor's company even turned down a major sale after it was discovered that the buyer was planning to be unethical in the distribution of his company's products. Remarkably, in the midst of this unprecedented economic distress, Mr. Taylor's plan worked. Within just a few years, the company was out of debt and soaring to the top of its industry. In 1955, Mr. Taylor gifted the copyright of the four-way test to Rotary International. Since then, it has been the ethical standard that Rotarians use professionally and personally. It is recited at every meeting of the more than 34,000 Rotary clubs worldwide. It is very simple. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Listening to the speeches today, you may hear a great speech, but it is very critical that the students address the four-way test specifically. An otherwise great speech that does not do that will not score well. Since we're competing by Zoom, which is a new thing, obviously, for each of us, each student has been allocated a 12-minute section. That will give the student time to make a mic check, to introduce the student, the student to give a speech, and then they'll give the judges a little bit of time to do the scoring before we hear the next student. You will see on your screen, I hope, the student's name and what number that speaker is. And I will also announce the speaker's first name and the student's number, but no other information. So as not to distract our speakers, please be sure to mute yourself on Zoom. If you don't know how to do that on Zoom, just whatever way you turn your microphone down on your computer, that ought to work equally as well. We're going to have a 12-minute break since we're having 12-minute increments for everything else. We'll have a 12-minute break after speaker number 5. And we think that'll occur roughly around 10 o'clock. We expect the last student probably will finish somewhere about 11:20, 11:25, maybe just a bit earlier. After the last speaker, speaker number 11 is finished, all the students will introduce themselves to you with their full names, what school they attend, and etc. While they're doing that, the judges will finish the scoring. I estimate that will take about 20 to 30 minutes to figure out who is first, second, and third. Right after that, I will tell you who these 3 students are. And I think we're ready to go. And much thanks, by the way, to Justin Jones, who's been running this. Justin's just done a fabulous technical job. And without Justin, without Debbie Paulson, who preceded him, and I know Debbie Highs had a lot of input as well, this would not be possible. So we're grateful to all of you for your work. So Justin, I think we're ready for our first student, if you're ready.
Working on it.
All right. So Melina.
Yeah. Hey, Debbie, I can't pull her out.
Maybe send a message to her and have her leave the room.
Okay.
I've got all the phone numbers, Justin, if you need to, so I could call her. She might not answer the phone though.
Yeah, Justin, she might have to do it manually.
I'm gonna send her a message.
Can you send Andy in the room?
Yeah.
Pop Andy in the room real quick, and he can let them know what they need to do and where to watch for messages.
That is weird.
There she is.
There we go.
Melina, can you give us a mic check, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Can you see me? We're all good?
You can. You look
Okay.
wonderful.
Thank you.
So as soon as you start your speech, the timer is going to start the clock. And remember, do you see the green screen there on your screen?
Yes.
All right, so that's where you look for the time.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Now with the raise of your hand, it's a little awkward since we're on Zoom, but humor me. Who here knows of Galileo Galilei? How about Sir Isaac Newton? Or Albert Einstein? Of course, we all know these brilliant scientists because they dedicated their lives to understand and to transform the world as we know as science today, ranging from space to gravity to the theory of relativity. Along with these amazing scientists, who here knows of Marie Curie? Yes. How about Rosalind Franklin? The one that used X-ray diffraction in the early discoveries of DNA, or Lise Meitner, the one that has countless works on nuclear fission. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know these scientists myself. I had to Google them. And the sad part is that these scientists are women. There is a lack of women acknowledgement in the STEM communities, and not only in history, but in our world today. In the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics program, or STEM for short, there is a lack of female impact in those areas. So today, I'm going to shine some light on this issue by putting it to the Rotary 4-way test. First, is it the truth? Well, according to the numbers, they don't lie. A statistician group called the Catalyst Group recently calculated that in the United States alone, only 28% of the entire STEM workforce are female. And it's worldwide, 27% in Australia, 14.5% in Japan, 31.7% in India, and Canada with a whopping low of 13%. And if you don't believe the numbers, believe my own personal experience. In my Calculus 3 class, I am the only girl in a class of 5 students with a male teacher. And in my Physics 3 class, me along with 2 other girls are the only ones in a class of 11 students, also with a male teacher, may I add. I am that stat. I'm that number. Not even 50% worldwide or in my classrooms are there females in the STEM areas. So I ask again, is it the truth that there's a lack of female impact in the STEM areas, fields, and even classrooms? Yes, it is. Second, is it fair to all concerned? Well, is it fair to that young girl that loves math and science, but is too afraid to pursue anything in that career? No. But is it fair to inform the general public about the truth of STEM in the hopes to encourage those young girls to achieve their dreams? Yes. The truth about STEM is that they don't care about the labels that you carry or hold. They only care is if you have a love and passion for math and science and are able to utilize those skills to understand the world for not what it is, but for what it can, should, and will be. That's the truth that needs to be known so that these girls won't have any hesitation to achieve their dreams. A common phrase I like to bring up is, we see what we believe. If I told you the sky is blue, you will believe me because you can see it for your own eyes. So we see that in the STEM area, it's male dominant. Therefore, we come to the conclusion that it's for men, but that's not the truth. It's just a misconception. And that's a misconception that we have to remove in order to bring light the truth of STEM. I think that's fair. Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Oh yeah, 100%. I've made lasting friendships in my classrooms than anywhere else. And not only with the small amount of girls in my class, but with the boys as well. They don't see me as inferior or weak or a random girl that got lost on the first day of school and just happened to end up in a calculus classroom. They see me as their equal, a fellow nerd, dare I say. They understand the difficulties that come with STEM. It's hard, and they understand that, so they applaud me. They're my #1 supporters, along with my family and friends. The amount of supporters that anyone will gain in this STEM, boy or girl, will immensely, tremendously outweigh the doubters. 100%. And finally, fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Yes, absolutely, definitely. Without a hesitation in my mind, will it benefit everybody in the long run? If you had the chance to change the future of science for generations by just telling a young girl, go for it, you can do it, would you? I know I would. There are history of women that have dedicated their lives for doing something that they love and evidence to show that there have been improvements. The world is constantly changing and the improvements are there. For example, NASA, in honor of the Apollo mission, they're launching a new mission called the Artemis mission. Now, Artemis is the Greek goddess of the moon and the twin sister of the Greek god Apollo. And not only do they want to stay on the moon for a longer period of time, but they want to send female astronauts. It's amazing. It's there. They don't deserve to be hidden and forgotten with time. They deserve to be known so that that young girl would know that the truth of STEM, would know that it is fair for her to be in STEM, know that she will gain supporters and friendships along the way, and know it will benefit her and everybody in the long run. So I urge you to keep this message alive, so that that young girl will know that it's okay for her to be in STEM so that she can aspire and go for it with no fear in her mind. So that in the future, no one would have to Google female scientists like I had to for today's speech. They'll be able to know and see Marie Curie and Sir Isaac Newton as not man or woman, but as two brilliant minds that dedicated their lives to do something that they truly loved, to change science in the world today and forever. I hold that dear, very dear to my heart. And I hope that every one of you here can hold it dear to your hearts as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Melina.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it very much. So Justin, you're gonna, and Melina, you get to stay, so you get to hear the other speeches. So, and the judges are gonna do a little work, and we'll give them a few minutes to do that, and then we'll hear our second speaker.
Can I say something in between here?
Sure.
Can you hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me. I don't know who all is on our YouTube live. I hope we have a good group there. And I'm sure we have a lot of parents, hopefully friends and supporters of our students. We're so proud of them. And we look forward to this contest every year, as I mentioned earlier. One of the things that I would like to talk about today is some of the youth programs that Rotary offers literally worldwide. And I'm going to start off during this little intermission talking about Interact. And what Interact is, it's a high school level Rotary sponsored service club. In our district, which by the way, we have 51 Rotary clubs in our district, and we have somewhere around 60 Interact clubs. I kind of lost track of that. But the point is we have more Interact clubs than we have Rotary clubs. And each one of these Interact clubs is at one of our high schools throughout our district. Some of them are small, some of them are large. We have one here in Corpus Christi that has over 200 students in it. So anyway, it's for high school kids to join and to be able to perform service projects and learn a lot more about Rotary. Are we done, Tim?
I think we are. Any judges?
Okay.
I've heard, let me look here. Everybody, let me just check here. It looks like everybody is done. Just basing by the facial expressions and what they're doing.
Okay.
All right, Justin, we're ready for Estrella.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Estrella.
Okay.
Estrella, we're ready whenever you want. Do you see the little screen up there where it says timer?
Yes, I see it.
All right. And the lady will start timing you as soon as you begin your speech, and you may begin anytime you're ready.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And is it beneficial to all concerned? 3 years ago, the four-way test meant nothing to me. I had no idea it even existed. Never would I have thought that these 4 questions would relate so closely to my life. You see, my life was built on a foundation of morals, on a foundation of honesty, hard work, and dedication set to me by my parents. But this moral foundation, it never had a name. It was just what was right. It wasn't until I learned about what Rotary is and what it stood for that I realized that my life was built on the four-way test. Is it the truth? I am proud to say that I'm an honest person. I am someone who values this not only because my parents taught me, but because of my faith. But honesty is not always pretty. Sometimes it can hurt. I learned this from my freshman English teacher, Ms. Lamas. Ms. Lamas saw me grow up from a freshman to the senior that I am now. And she was the sponsor of almost every single club I was in: drama club, mock trial, student council, and National Honor Society. And given that I was a leader in the majority of these clubs, she always saw the mistakes I made. And she never hesitated to tell me, you're doing something wrong. You're hurting your team. You're messing it up for them. And although it always hurt to hear that coming from someone that I respected so highly, it always made me better because I always learned from my mistakes. Well, she taught me that a good leader is honest. A good leader tells her team when something's wrong. Because with honesty comes trust, and trust is the foundation of leadership. And with this leadership, I strive for fairness. Is it fair to all concerned? Fairness is finding the individual strengths, the individual potentials in every person. 2 years ago, I went to this camp called Ryla. And in this camp, I was placed with strangers. I had no idea who they were. I had no idea what they were good at. I had no idea what they could do. And being someone who tries to take control of almost everything, I tried to do that. I would try to take over competitions. I would try to just do everything myself because I didn't know what they could do. Well, my counselors, Jason, Victoria, and Alex, well, they thought otherwise. Instead of just letting me and my teammate take over, Paul, they taught us to find each other's strengths. They taught us to find each other's potentials. They taught us to go out and learn from each other instead of just letting one or two people take over. From them, I learned that a good leader uses their power to bring out the fairness in a team, to bring out the strengths of each person, to make sure that everyone is included. With this comes friendships and goodwill. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Well, my mother is the best example of someone who brings goodwill and better friendships. My mother is the type of person who will go out of her way to buy a meal for a homeless person, or who will buy cases of water, carry them in her car, and then give them out because it's so hot down here. She will go out of her way to help a stray dog, give them love and affection that they've never felt before, and then find permanent homes for them. You see, my mother never told me, be kind, love others, and be respectful. Instead, she showed me what it means to be kind, what it means to be respectful, what it means to show love. And because of her, I follow that example. Now that I'm older and I can actually do things for my own now, I go out of my way to do that. In student council, I use it as an outlet to bring unity and inclusivity at our school. I use it to make sure that every student feels welcomed in our student body, to make sure that they feel that they are part of a family in our high school. Along with that, I volunteer with the Rotary and Interact Club for my city. And I go out of my way to volunteer at the Good Neighbor Settlement Home and bring meals to homeless people when sometimes that's the only meal that they'll receive during the day. But leadership is only beneficial to everybody if honesty, if fairness, and if goodwill is involved. A good leader makes sure that everybody feels welcomed. A good leader makes sure that everybody feels that sense of accomplishment that they themselves want to feel. A good leader makes sure that everyone feels that. I consider myself that type of leader. You see, I've grown up with this virtue around me. I've grown up with this idea of honesty, of dedication, of hard work while growing up. And even though I might have not always known it, that was the four-way test. I grew up with this four-way test that has made me the person and the leader that I am today. The person who aims to bring change, the person who aims to bring growth from within each person, someone who aims to make others feel welcomed, who aims to bring accomplishment to everybody's table. And you see, the four-way test has not only been a structure for me, now it's a sense of guidance. It's a sense of guidance that I will use to teach others what it means to be a good leader, to teach others what it means to be hardworking, what it means to be honest, what it means to be fair, what it means to be dedicated without tearing anybody else down. Because I am the leader of today. I have already been grown to be a leader. I have been taught this from my parents, from Ms. Lamas, from Alex, Jason, Victoria, from all of Rotary. And now it's my turn to teach the future leaders of tomorrow. And I will do this using the 4-way test. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Estrella. You're welcome to stay and hear the other outstanding speeches. They will have a high standard to meet the ones that you and Melina have already given us. Well done. We're going to take a little break here while the judges do their scoring.
So I'll chime in again here. Tim mentioned this earlier, but I am the district governor for Rotary District 5930. And Rotary District 5930, if you're not familiar, goes from right above Victoria, goes up to Ganado and Edna, and then across over to Laredo, and then all the way down to Brownsville. So we have a fairly large territory as a district governor to cover all of the 51 clubs that are in our district. And just so you know, just to kind of widen it out, there are 535 districts in the world. And so that means there's 535 district governors all over the world. We serve for a 1-year period. There's actually several past district governors on this on the Zoom feed that's going into YouTube, and also our incoming district governor-elect Eddie Barneski. Eddie, give us a wave there. Eddie is our incoming. Next year, the Rotary year runs from July 1st to June 30th. So Eddie will officially take over on July 1st. Following Eddie is going to be Armando Chapa. I believe Armando's out there. If you want to wave at him, Armando. And then also following Armando is Kent Greer, who's our district governor. Armando's our district governor nominee, and Kent Greer is our district governor nominee designate. So that's kind of a little idea as to how Rotary is structured. So anyway, I think we'll turn it back over to Tim.
All right, it looks like our judges are finished judging. So Justin, if you could kindly invite Alyssa into the room, please.
Andy, I'm gonna throw you, there we go, never mind.
Good morning, Alyssa. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing good. Sounds like we have good audio there from you. We can see just right with your neck and above, if that's the view you want, that's the view we've got. And we will start the timer whenever you are ready. Do you see a little box on your screen that says, looks a green screen? Do you see that screen?
Yes.
All right, well, that's where the time will appear. And as soon as you start speaking with your speech, that the timer will begin. All right, so anytime you're ready.
Okay, thank you. At the beginning of the year, 2020 seemed as if it was going to be the best year of my life. I had so much to look forward to, such as prom, UIL state competitions, and banquets. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, however, the world as we know it seems to have come to an abrupt halt. Schools and small businesses are closed.
The only way to see a loved one is through a screen. And every day, more people seem to be getting sick. To be honest, I feel as if I'm suffocating under the stress of finishing the school year and the fear that at any second a loved one will contract this virus. Only one thing keeps me from giving up hope altogether, and that is the knowledge that every thunderstorm is accompanied by a rainbow. Using the Rotary 4-way test, I can illustrate how the world will emerge from this pandemic stronger than before anyone had even heard of COVID-19. I know some of you may be thinking, how can this be the truth? Well, allow me to offer an example. August 17th, 2017, Hurricane Harvey struck Texas. My hometown, along with many others, was destroyed. I spent months living with no education and 2 years living in a mildew-infested home before I was forced to watch as it was torn down to pieces. My community, however, would not allow this natural disaster to kill their spirits. Rather than admitting defeat, victims of Harvey came together and cleaned up the debris, shared food and water, and rebuilt the town. My new home, for instance, is built on high stilts with walls that could withstand any hurricane that dared to cross its path. The natural disaster that rocked our world, just as COVID-19 is doing now, left my community with a new motto: we are strong. I admit that as the days drag on, I have begun to feel a lack of purpose. There is no school to keep the gears in my brain turning, and no friends to keep a smile on my face. All I have are these 4 walls. I often find myself wondering, how can it be fair for me to speak about the rainbow at the conclusion of a thunderstorm? Who am I to instill in the hearts of people? Who am I to instill hope in the hearts of people who may be wiser or smarter than I? I am a person with faith, a person who refuses to accept failure, a person who believes in mankind. Over time, history has shown us tragedies and natural disasters, and no matter how strong the initial blow was, we have risen up stronger and wiser. For example, the American Civil War ended with the abolishment of slavery, and the New London, Texas school explosion of 1937 ended in the addition of an odor to natural gas. The Earth has seen millions of disasters since its beginning. COVID-19 may seem to have mankind in the palm of its hand, yet just as the sun rises after every dark night, we will get through this together. Of course, I am aware of the fact that at this point in time, it is frowned upon to gather in a group of more than a few people. For some, this may be causing a significant amount of strain in relationships with loved ones. I, however, believe that this method of combating the virus is building goodwill and better friendships. For example, this virus has allowed us to create new ways to show that we as a community care about one another. Families have begun arranging colorful birthday parades, teachers are showing their dedication with Zoom meetings, and members of the community have even begun an organization where they adopt kindergarten and high school seniors. This last accomplishment leaves me awestruck. In the years I have been in school, I have never seen my community willingly come together to support their students. To see the differences they're making in these students' lives is truly amazing, and it demonstrates how people naturally support each other in times of hardships. Not even this pandemic can truly isolate us from one another. It is my belief that everything happens for a reason, and at the end of this bad day will be a better tomorrow. There is no light without darkness, no laugh without a tear, and no smile without a frown. In the end, the lesson learned from this virus will be beneficial to all concerned. We have now learned the value of spending time with a loved one, the importance of good hygiene, and the appreciation of the heroes who work tirelessly every day to keep us safe and healthy. These heroes don't only include doctors, nurses, and law enforcement, but everyday people. Restaurant employees work tirelessly to ensure we never go hungry. Stores such as H-E-B and Walmart, who ration their supplies to ensure everyone gets the opportunity to purchase essential items like hand sanitizer and panic shopping items like toilet paper. And then there are my favorite heroes, the heroes who wear no cape or uniform, the heroes who receive no credit for their loving hand. These are the random people who are just trying to help others survive this tragic time. The people who are making and donating masks to nurses, the people who are purchasing supplies for the elderly, and the people who leave inspirational notes in chalk on the sidewalks. It is these people that give me hope for a brighter future. This thunderstorm may be frightening, but I guarantee The following rainbow will be worth the wait.
And hear the others. Thank you, Alyssa. That was outstanding speech. You're now welcome to stay with Melina and Estrella to hear the other speeches. And we're going to take a little break here while the judges score, and then we'll hear the next student shortly.
Okay, me again. No, these are great speeches. I'm blown away every year. The next organization that's within Rotary that I thought I would talk about, it's called Rotaract. So we talked about Interact, and that's the high school level of Rotary organization. And Rotaract begins at the university level. Many universities all over the world have Rotaract clubs. There's 10,904 clubs, at least at this count, spread all over the world, about 250,000 members. And basically it's a service club, a service organization under the umbrella of Rotary that the participants participate in service projects and fellowship. Young men and women between the ages, used to be 18 to 30, but they've really kind of eliminated the top end limit, but it's still skews as a younger group. And so, for example, Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi has a Rotaract club. Universities in Laredo, down in the valley, we have a Rotaract clubs spread throughout the district. We can also have a community-based Rotaract club. So if somebody decides that they would like to form one in one of our cities or many of our cities, you can have a community-based Rotaract club, and we'd be glad to help you do that if anybody would like to pursue that. So that's a very little bit about Rotaract. Rotary is really focusing on Rotaract right now as a way to grow Rotary into the future. So anybody has an interest in forming a Rotaract club somewhere, please let us know. Back to Tim.
All right, let's give the judges about another 30 seconds. Then we'll have the next student come in. That will be Andrea, speaker number 4. Remember, we're going to have a 12-minute break after speaker number 5. All right, I think the judges look like they're ready to go. All right, Justin, why don't you invite Andrea in, please.
Hello.
Good morning, Andrea. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
We are all well. We can hear you.
Okay.
And what do you see a screen up there that says timer? Do you see that on your screen? It's a little green screen.
Yes, I see it.
All right, that's the place where you're going to look for the time left. And the timekeeper will start the timekeeping as soon as you begin your speech. And we're ready anytime you wish to begin.
Okay. I'll just get on started then.
All right.
Would you believe me if I told you the country with the most potential in the entire world is currently in shambles? That as we speak, children are starving, families are denied proper health care, and streets are plagued with violent crime. My homeland, Venezuela, is said country. And the scenario I presented to you is what my dearest friends and family live through. But why is it like this? How could a country fall so far into disarray? The answer is simple. Chavismo, an economic theory you may better recognize as a drastic form of socialism. Despite its negative effects on my country of origin, In the changing political landscape of the United States, socialism is becoming more popular and accepted. So, to weigh its effects, let's analyze socialism in the form of Chavismo using the four-way test. First, is it the truth? To answer this, we need to look at the beginning of socialism in Venezuela. Now, in 1992, Venezuelan democracy was under attack by a military leader named Hugo Chavez, who fought in the name of social justice and reform. By exploiting the Venezuelans' anger at their political leaders and wielding his military strength to kill all those in his way, Chavez took hold of complete power. From there, he began his campaign towards creating a socialist Venezuela, conveniently placing himself as its dictator. In one of Chavez's speeches, he says this: "The economy should be focused on one central objective, to satisfy the needs of society, and promised his people that socialism was the only path to social justice." Now we know this was a blatant lie. Despite Chavez's initial intentions, in the end, he took the country's money for himself and his supporters. According to an article by The New Yorker titled, "Venezuela's Food Crisis Reaches a Breaking Point," almost 90% of Venezuelans now live below the poverty line. Does that sound like social justice to you? No, it sounds like the corruption and greed of a man who based his political career on lies. Second, is it fair to all concerned? Initially, Chavez's campaign gave hope to lower and middle classes who felt that with previous leadership, there had been a lack of representation within the government. Now, the gap between politicians and the general public is larger than ever before. Under the rule of Chavez, Venezuela is now battling a human rights crisis. According to Amnesty International, this includes civilians tried in military courts, limited freedom of speech, and inflation leading to unlivable conditions. The population faces mass shortages of food, water, and medicine, and so much as peacefully protesting in front of a government building or opposing a major politician could result in execution after a military trial. This is far from fair, and no one is safe from these conditions. Even Venezuelan politicians who hold power and try to change things for the better are arrested or executed for treason. The public doesn't have a voice of justice, and there is no one to provide them one. Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? This question can be answered with 2 points of view. On one hand, the hardships faced by the society has created a common purpose for all citizens: survival. United against one common enemy, the government, Venezuelans now have a renewed sense of pride and love for their country. On the other hand, lack of supplies has made fights common in markets. And though citizens are united in protests, the death toll for said protests can be disheartening, to say the least. In addition to this, the Venezuela 2019 Crime and Safety Report by the Overseas Security Advisory Council reports that Venezuela is one of the deadliest and most violent countries in the world, with approximately 81.4 violent deaths per 100,000 inhabitants. These crime rates are only increasing due to lack of funding for police and little availability. I think it is safe to say these conditions do not foster goodwill or friendships. Fourth, is it beneficial to all concerned? My answer is no. The only people who reap the benefits of Chavismo are politicians and high-class Venezuelans. This is because the companies like PDVSA, who handle Venezuela's main export, oil, are all government-owned. Though Venezuela is ranked first in the world for oil reserves, with Worldometer reporting 299 billion barrels of confirmed oil in 2016, accounting for 18.2% of the world's oil reserves, a large majority of Venezuelans never gain access to this profit, thus creating two polar ways of life, one of expensive apartments and lavish parties, and one of starving and suffering. This disparity is one which keeps Venezuelans under the control of those richer than them. So, Chavismo did not pass the four-way test, but what can we gather from these results? Considering that the isolation of corruption would have yielded a completely different outcome for Venezuela, socialism cannot be completely to blame. though Chavismo as an economic theory failed to take into account exploitation by politicians, creating the perfect environment for a dictatorial takeover, it cannot be said, beyond speculation, how the US could be impacted. But I do know one thing. Though Chavez died in 2013, his legacy has been carried on by a new dictator, Nicolás Maduro, who has worsened living conditions in Venezuela tenfold. Venezuelans are still locked in a battle which won't easily be won, but it is certainly one worth fighting for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Excellent speech. And you're now welcome to stay and hear the other speeches. We're going to take a little break here while the judges score.
I thought I would maybe take a minute or two in between here to talk about our Rotary themes for this year. Every year, Rotary International, the president comes up with a theme, and I'll tell you actually about this year's and next year's. This year's, our president he couldn't have picked a more perfect theme, by the way, considering the way that this year turned out. The theme was Rotary Connects the World. Well, originally the idea was that as Rotarians, we're all one group, and we're all over the world, and wherever we go, we're connected through Rotary and all of that, and that is true. But what happened at the end of the year here with our COVID pandemic is we became really connected through this type of a presentation through Zoom and ability to do YouTube. And so it's really, given us some other opportunities. And that kind of the next thing is next year, our theme is Rotary Opens Opportunities. Did I get that right, Eddie? Is that the right theme? Okay. Rotary Opens Opportunities. And so, boy, did we ever open some huge opportunities for Rotary next year through being connected through Zoom and other means electronically. And so I'm kind of excited about it because it really forced us to get into the electronic age as Rotarians. Many Rotary clubs, well, most Rotary clubs, as far as I know, all over the world right now are not actually meeting in person. Many of them are using this same technology to hold their club meetings. So anyway, that's a little on our Rotary International theme this year. Tim?
All right, well, let's give about another 15, 20 seconds and then we'll start. Our next speaker will be Rama, and we will have a 12-minute break after Rama finishes her speech. All right, looks like all the judges are ready. So Justin, if you want to invite Rama in, please.
Hello.
Good morning, Rama. How are you doing?
Good. What about you?
Doing good. We can hear you well. You're just if you bounce back and forth like that, we're changing focus on you. So just be careful about that. We're ready to begin anytime you are. Do you see a screen on your screen that says timer?
Yes.
It's a green screen. All right. That's the place where you're going to get the messages about how much time you have left. And
Okay.
the timekeeper will start as soon as you start your speech. And you're welcome to begin anytime you're ready.
Okay, sounds good. Have Haven't we all been the butt of the joke at some point in time? Maybe you've been joked about your race, religion, job, hair color, or name. But my concern is that today we've gone from jokes to roasts, from comments to crossing the line into verbal abuse. Researchers and analysts from UC Santa Barbara and Illinois State University call it flaming, meaning verbally abusing someone with hostile or derogatory language, like using a metaphorical flamethrower. But whatever you call it, to roast, to burn, or to flame, this ridicule, now rampant in our rhetoric, rarely leaves us unsinged. Much like a real fire, fiery language divides communities, destroys relationships. And as Bill Schneider, professor of George Mason University, states, this is the most divided we've been since the Civil War. So today we will examine Rotary's 4-way speech test. First, is it the truth? Now, some roasts are perfectly good-natured. Yo mama jokes, Comedy Central roasts, brands wielding their weapons of wit on Twitter. But today, too often, the taunts go too far. There's a whole subreddit dedicated to the quest for the best insult. And it's an internet troll's paradise. On a subreddit with over 200,000 daily views, people upload pictures of themselves with #roastme, and comments turn from humor to abuse. Now you might say, well, hey, they asked for it. But a 2017 article for the Journal of Adolescent Health called this a form of cyberbullying and digital self-harm. Rather than turning to an actual blade, teens, tweens, and adults now turn to the internet to manage their sadness and seek attention. A digital blade just as razor sharp as #roastme is linked to an uptick in depression and suicides. More often than not, we don't ask for it. Racial epithets, homophobic jokes, sexist comments, the rise of roasts is no laughing matter. Second, is it fair to all that's concerned? From our nation leaders on down, tearing others down is the norm. We scream at referees, go off on customer service reps, even lash out on teachers. A survey done by the American Psychological Association found that 80% of teachers were victims of verbal abuse last year, with some of them saying that they considered self-harm just so they had an excuse not to go to school. So whether you're a teacher, a parent, a congresswoman, or our nation's president, our words have real-world impact. According to federal data, when our words spit fire and hate, they're linked to an uptick in high school dropouts, teen pregnancy, unemployment rates, depression, and suicides. In short, when we and our civilized society can't be civil, society crumbles. Now look, I'm not saying you can't make a joke, take a joke, or occasionally call someone an idiot when they're being one. But what concerns me here is degree. Fiery language too often is too much heat, and burns leave scars. 2 years ago, a man in my town started posting Islamophobic comments on his Facebook. Repeatedly, he called us names like towelheads, terrorists, ragheads, said that we were all related to ISIS and that we need to go back to where we came from. Enough people liked and shared normalizing and even encouraging his hate speech. I was 15 then. I didn't really think anything of it. Until one night in January 2017. Our mosque was having our weekly Friday night potluck dinners, and I took the children outside to play hide and seek and have bottle flipping competitions. After a fun and perfectly ordinary night, my family was to receive a phone call that I would soon never forget. He burned it down. Our mosque. Newspapers report that he got on the hood of his car and giggled and jumped for joy. While across the street, we watched in horror as our holy haven went up into flames, almost entirely destroyed. 3 years later, and the mosque is rebuilt and he's in prison, but the scars remain. We now look twice every time someone enters the door of the mosque. Kids are too afraid to go outside to play, and some families are too scared to come worship at all. But what had started as words led to action and ended in so much pain. So next, the third and fourth questions of the Rotary speech competition. Will it build goodwill and better friendships, and will it be beneficial to all that's concerned? Well, we know that fire can be used to destroy. It can actually also be used for good, to shed light and spread warmth. I propose that we focus on that, using our words to spread warmth. Whether it's a thank you, a how are you, a compliment, or an expression of empathy, kind words and actions leave an impact. As Mother Teresa wrote, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. I know this because when the mosque burned down, we received letters from all around the world, from different religions, telling us how much we were loved and asking us what they could do to help. A Christian man even came to our mosque and said that although he didn't have any money, he had his truck to help us move burn items. This kindness rebuilt our hearts and our mosque, which now puts a banner out front. United, we stand. Thank you.
Speech. Rama, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
That was an outstanding speech. Thank you very much. And you're now welcome to stay and listen to the other outstanding speeches that are going to follow. But right now, we're going to have a 12-minute break, everybody. So by my watch, I've got 9:57. So let's try to reconvene at 10:09. All right?
And just a reminder, if you plan on stepping away, then pause your video and turn it back on when you're back at your workstation. But do not leave the meeting, otherwise you won't be able to get back in. So, happy break, everyone.
Or if you have a low-tech solution like me, you just turn the screen down. How's everybody doing? Are we ready to end our break, everybody? All right. So Justin, our next speaker will be Brian. So if you'd kindly invite Brian back into the room.
Andy, I may go ahead and throw you over.
There could just be a little bit of a delay, but send me over if you need to.
Yep. Actually, it will not let me send you back in because you came out. Debbie, you mind if I send you in?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
We're ready for Brian whenever you're ready, Justin.
We're working on it.
Okay. While we're waiting for you students who've given your speeches, you've all done great. Really outstanding job by all of you. There's Brian.
Hello.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Well, good. Well, Brian, do you see a little timer screen on your screen there?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, good. That's the place to look to make sure that you hit the benchmarks for timing. Don't speak too long and speak long enough. So the timekeeper will start the recording of the timekeeping as soon as you begin your speech, and we're ready to listen to you anytime you're ready to begin.
Perfect. Let me just confirm you all can hear me fine?
We can hear you well.
Perfect. Okay. In the midst of countless subjects that impact our society today, there is one in particular that has been especially highlighted by our new and tragic reality. The subject of moral mutuality. Plato defines the word moral to be the basis of a person's behavior and principle, while Oxford Dictionary defines the word mutual to be the sharing of any feeling, action, or responsibility. What this comes down to is a belief that we are all equal parts in virtually every human relationship. Today, I'll be using the four-way Rotary test to explore what exactly our responsibility is and one of the most important aspects of the human experience. Is it the truth? The parent-child relationship is something incredibly significant, whether this be biological, adopted, fostered, a guardian, or even a strong mentor. The American Association of American Pediatrics explains that the strongest relationships are found in households where children are met with what is known as unconditional love. This means a parent who raises a human being, instills values, imparts wisdom without ever expecting any form of compensation or reward in return. Though this sounds like a very simple idea, it is by no means an old one. According to historian Lane Humphreys, parents did not begin to develop significant bonds with their children until the early part of the 18th century. Understanding these relationships from a historical perspective helps us better understand a specific flaw in this dynamic, one that costs the United States upwards of $57 billion a year. Is it fair to all concerned? It is seen time after time again that individuals who are raised in loving households grow up to develop this perverse animosity towards their parent and parent-like figures. Unfortunately, this most commonly takes the form of elder abuse. The National Council on Aging defines elder abuse to be any single or repeated act in a relationship where an expectation of trust has been established, resulting in the harm or distress of any member of the elderly. The sad truth is, of the 5 million cases every year, 60% of them are at the hands of adult children. And this is only because 1 in 24 cases are said to be reported. These are examples of physical and sexual assault, isolation, financial exploitation, neglect. These are our parents, our grandparents. We must be able to perpetuate a genuine belief in moral mutuality through every aspect of our lives. This is our moral responsibility. Does moral mutuality promote goodwill and better friendships? The criteria of elder abuse is any relationship where an expectation of trust has been established. Human beings in general revolve around this very same expectation. Communities across the country can no longer remain ignorant to this significant public health crisis, simply because to be complacent about elder abuse is to be complicit to it altogether. This brings me to a firsthand example of moral mutuality in practice and, unfortunately, elder abuse. For as long as I can remember, I have loved to play the piano, starting lessons at the age of 4 with a woman from church. And at 78, Miss Hurley had spent decades of her life dedicated to teaching others to play this beautiful instrument. Sometime earlier, I learned that both her husband and oldest son had passed away, leaving her youngest son to move hundreds of miles away, only to visit her once or twice a year. A few years down the road, I learned that her beloved child had come to visit, but only for the sake of forcing her into a nursing home, ripping her away from the house that she knew, the church family that she'd grown to care for, and of course the dozens of students that she had spent years teaching. Heartbroken, I began to visit her, and after some time, she became more than just my old piano teacher, but a genuine friend. Is moral mutuality beneficial to all concerned? Regardless of the fact that she was abandoned and isolated by her own son, she still spoke so highly of him. She still loved him unconditionally. To honor, care, and respect the very people we owe our lives to is the basis of what we are responsible for. This is more than just our obligation, but simple right and wrong. The parent-child relationship is designed to benefit everyone involved, not just through honor and care and respect, but by perpetuating a genuine practice of moral mutuality. So I conclude with something that I learned this year at my time at Camp Ryla, a kind of unspoken part of the 4-way test. Is it fun? So about a year ago, Miss Hurley celebrated her birthday, surrounded by her new friends in the nursing home, some of her church family, and of course myself. I will never forget the image of a big bouquet of balloons tied to the back of her wheelchair. It was a smile on my face. I implore everyone to just take a single moment to appreciate all of the incredible figures in your life, the ones who loved and cared for you, whoever they may be, as it will always be our part to do the very same in return. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian. Excellent speech. You're now welcome to remain and hear the speeches that follow. And we're going to take a little break here while the judges score, and then we'll have our next speaker. Well done, sir.
Yes, well done. I'll chime in here with Brian actually mentioned this, and I'm some of the other kids that are talk may have participated as well, but Rotary has a program, again, all over the world called RYLA. And RYLA stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. It's held once a year. And in our in our district, it's held at Camp Zephyr over at Mathis. And this year actually was the 25th year that the Rotary Club of Corpus Christi hosted RILA and put it all together. They do an amazing, incredible job. And so I just wanted to let y'all know that that will happen every year. Now, what's kind of an interesting thing that's going on is in Oklahoma, they would be like having their RILA here very soon. And so obviously that's not going to happen with the pandemic. And so the lady who runs that, who actually used to help run our camp here in our district, she is creating a camp RILA. And so I don't know how it's going to work, probably similar to what we're doing today, but you know, again, it's a part of an evolution it's being forced by this pandemic. But anyway, the stories you hear from the kids that come back from RILA are just amazing. Brian told one a few minutes ago, and I mean, they're out there, and they really develop leadership in these kids. And when they come back, they're excited and ready to go and to be leaders in their schools and their communities and as they go forward in life. So it's a great program. And if you have an opportunity to send a kid to RILA, please take that opportunity. Back to Tim.
All right, let's take another 15, 30 seconds here. Looks like a couple judges might still be working. Then our next speaker will be Zach, speaker number 7. All right, Justin, can you invite Zach in, please?
Andy, you might need to fetch him if you still have that option. Well, Debbie, your background really gets around. Pretty popular.
It's out of the new Rotary Brand Center, freshly made. There's 6 different choices for all the Zooming we're all doing now. So
beautiful.
Rotary International takes care of us. And I see we have Zach in here.
All right, let's see, I don't see Zach yet. Oh, there he is. All right. Zach, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, Zach, speak up a little bit. Let us get a good, make sure we can hear you well. Say something briefly.
Hello?
Yeah, say a sentence or say a sentence.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, great. That's good. Good audio that time. Good.
Let me move up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Zach, do you see on your screen a little screen that says timer?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's the place you need to look to see if you hit the minimum mark and make sure you don't go over. And once you start speaking with your speech, the timekeeper will start recording, and we're pleased to hear you whenever you're ready to begin.
Okay. A sore lower back, bloody knuckles, and bruises all over my body. That's what I woke up to almost every morning after playing a full game of football the night before. And even as a captain, It was hard to get out of bed. But that's when I looked back at the 3 words that would change my life: pound the stone. My coach had been preaching about the book Pound the Stone by Joshua Metcalf religiously since the day he had met us. At first, we had no idea what it meant, but by the end of the season, there was no way we could forget. We finished off this season with a record of 9 wins and 1 loss, opposed to our previous record of 3 wins and 7 losses. And although it was his first year as a head coach, as seniors, it was also our last, which made this experience even more special. Upon reflection of this past season, I came to realize that the book Pound the Stone passed the Rotary 4-way test. Is it truth? Yes. How, you may ask? Well, before I answer, I'd like everyone in the audience to close their eyes and visualize themselves in ancient Greece, in the presence of an emperor. In front of you is a giant marble slab. You look down into your right hand and see a chisel, and the other, a mallet. The emperor wants you to make a sculpture of him. And as you begin to chip away, you soon realize that it wasn't going to be as easy as you thought. The guards are rushing you and telling you to hurry up as the emperor grows impatient. Finally, the emperor, out of frustration, leaves you with 2 options. You can either give up and walk away with no consequences, or you can continue to pound the stone day in and day out until the task is completed. You can open your eyes now. The normal person in this circumstance would have walked away due to the unusual circumstances. However, those who stuck around would come to realize that by consistently pounding a stone, you'll be able to shape it into whatever form you desire. Keep in mind, a sculptor at the time would have taken around a year to a year and a half to complete this project. But what does this have to do with football? Well, day in and day out, we consistently beat down our bodies and push ourselves to new limits. And the choice to give up is always in our hands, much like it was with you and the emperor. Which brings me to my next point. Was this fair to all concerned? Yes, we held each other accountable for the responsibility of our teammates and the success of the team. As seniors, we knew it was our last season, and this was our last chance to do something special. It is for this reason that we demanded excellence from each and every one of our teammates. And the choice to give up was always in their hands. However, if we wanted success, we needed to work hard and work together and continue to pound the stone. But did this build goodwill and better friendships? Absolutely. The establishment of our leadership program played a pivotal role in our team's success. 12 individuals were elected by their teammates to represent the team an hour before every workout, every film session, and talk about the book Pound the Stone and how we can integrate the lessons into our daily routine. And as the workouts became harder and the days became longer, some began to quit. As for us, those who stuck around and continued to pound the stone, we began to see that we were forming a bond. We were no longer teammates. We were now brothers, ready to fight for one another. And we realized that it wasn't just football that united us, but it was the grind. Knowing that we were working hard towards a common goal, even though the odds may have been stacked against us. But it didn't matter what anyone else thought. All that mattered was that we believed in each other. Was this beneficial to all concerned? Without a doubt. We began to see a surge in school pride as we realized that we had changed the culture, not only in our football program, but in our school. Instead of wearing jerseys on game days, we wore white button-up shirts with red ties and began to see the change on the field and in the classroom. The teachers loved how professional we looked and how this was reflected on our grades. Instead of focusing on 3 or 4 games down the road, we took it one game at a time, one step at a time, ensuring the success that we needed for that week. We began to chip away those pieces of the stone and sculpted it into whatever we wanted, which was a successful season. I will never forget my experience with a team that felt more like a family to me. And looking back at all of our accomplishments, I can truly say that through hard work and consistency, anything is possible. So to those of you who want something, I strongly encourage you to pound the stone in whatever you do and work hard until you get the success. Because the truth is, the stone will eventually break, and the choice to give up is fair to all. And along the way, you will build goodwill and better friendships with those around you. And your new hard work and attitude will be beneficial to all those around you. So if you truly want something, I strongly encourage you to work hard and continue to pound the stone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zach. Very, very good speech. Zach, you're welcome to stay and listen to the other speakers now, and we're going to have a little pause here while the judges score your speech.
I thought what I could go over with y'all now is something called Rotary Youth Exchange. And some of you, actually, some of the kids that gave the speeches might be interested in doing this. You know, you're kind of at that age where you may qualify. But Rotary Youth Exchange is for students in secondary school, and Rotary's been doing this since 1929. And basically it's an exchange between, in our case, the United States and another country. And so what happens is, take for instance, we set you up with somebody in Belgium. Well, you go to Belgium, then we find somebody in Belgium to come over here, and it's an exchange. And so you spend either a year, there's also like a short-term exchange, it's a month or so. But generally it's the longer one. And the youth spends time in the foreign country, learning the culture, learning the traditions, you know, eating the food, making friends in the other country. And then they come back and they've got a whole different worldview when they return. There's a lot more to Rotary Youth Exchange than that, but it's an incredible program. There are, this count I see here, there are 9,000 Rotary Youth Exchange students all over the world. It did become a little challenging this year with the COVID situation. We sent, in our district, I think we had 4 or 5. We sent, I believe, all but 1 or 2 of them back. We still have a few here actually in the United States that will go back at the time they're supposed to. But anyway, hopefully we'll get beyond this and we'll continue the Rotary Youth Exchange program. And if any of y'all are interested, or you have a student that might be interested, please contact me or Eddie Barneski, or just if you're one of the youth, just contact your school, your Rotary Club that sponsored you today, and they can direct you in the right direction. So Rotary Youth Exchange is a great program, and highly recommend it. We're trying to grow it in our district. Tim?
Let me just add to what Ellison said there briefly. I have a daughter and a friend of a good daughter who participated not in exactly that program, but one very similar to it. And I can tell you that when a student gets out and sees the world like that, you really realize how different things are. And we do things a certain way, other people do it a certain way, and they can be reasonable and wonderful too. And it's a great experience, and highly recommend to you students if you look into that as you get down the road in life. All right, I think we're ready for our next speaker, and that will be speaker number 8, Amy.
Organizers of the 77th Golden Globes.
Amy, can you hold on just a second?
Yes, sir.
All right, sorry about that. We wanted to make sure we could hear you, and we can. And do you see a little timer on your screen there? See that? That's
yes, sir.
That's where the time's going to be. And so keep your eye on that to make sure you hit the minimum time and don't go over the time. And I can tell you ready to go. And so as soon as you start speaking, please start over. As soon as you start speaking, the timekeeper will start the clock, and we're ready anytime you're ready to begin.
Okay, thank you. Organizers of the 77th Golden Globes served a vegan meal to bring awareness to the environmental impact of eating meat. Meanwhile, the celebrities who took part in the red carpet event arrived in limo services, and many flew in an airplane to the event in Beverly Hills, California. We all need to be cautious of how we impact the environment. However, it is imperative that we understand the real science behind the issues to make effective decisions that don't negatively impact entire industries. Today, I'm going to apply the four-way test to examine the truth about methane, cattle, and the environment using this statement. The carbon footprint produced by beef cattle is much smaller than the print left behind by planes, trains, and automobiles. Is it true? Yes. Air quality expert Dr. Frank Mitloehner, professor at UC Davis in California, explains that livestock's impact has been overstated, while the majority culprit, the use of fossil fuels for transportation, has been greatly understated. Let me explain. The UN's report, Livestock's Long Shadow, claimed livestock are responsible for 18% of greenhouse gas emissions. But their calculation used emissions from the entire supply chain, including land use, processing, and refrigeration in grocery stores. In contrast, transportation figures are reported as 28% of greenhouse gas emissions, while only factoring in direct emissions from exhaust. These figures completely ignore processes associated with manufacturing machinery or transporting people, produce, and other merchandise. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency shared more accurate numbers in their 2016 report, which included electricity production, 28% of total emissions, transportation, 28%, and industry, 22%. All of agriculture accounted for a total of 9%, and animal agriculture represented only 3.9% of total U.S. greenhouse gas emissions. Is it fair to all concerned? Ranchers would say the methane myth being spread by some politicians and special interest groups is definitely not fair and negatively affects agriculture. However, when lawmakers act responsibly and base proposed legislation on true science, decisions will be made that will be fair and productive to our entire world. The fact is, methane's lifespan is 10 years, while carbon dioxide remains in the atmosphere for 1,000 years. Cattle actually recycle emissions into protein. The 10-year process goes like this. Cows eat plants. Cows release methane. Methane is in the air, and then the plants absorb the methane, and the cycle restarts. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? There will most likely always be people using the methane myth and cattle to promote their own agendas. However, utilizing and promoting sound science to educate our lawmakers and consumers regarding cattle and the environment has the potential to positively affect agriculture. This knowledge will be beneficial in building goodwill and friendships between politicians and the agriculture community, and encourage collaborations between groups to affect positive change in our world. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? With a projected 9.7 billion global population by 2050, it has never been more important to support farmers and ranchers who are feeding our world. It is also paramount that we make decisions based on sound science to be good stewards of all our natural resources. It is my responsibility as an advocate for agriculture to educate others with true facts backed by scientific evidence. Here are some very important facts to help explain how cattle are beneficial to our environment. Grazing cattle play a vital role in not only recycling nutrients into our lands, but protecting endangered and threatened species. Water used in beef production does not disappear. Eventually, the water will cycle back through the system to be used again. Cattle production can also contribute to the conservation of wetlands, which serve as an important habitat for aquatic birds and animals. And lastly, most of the plants that cattle eat and convert into nutrient-dense meat are not edible by humans. Grains that fail to make the grade for human consumption make up a significant amount of diets of cattle, which contributes to the efficiency of the production system. In conclusion, my thesis statement is true. The carbon footprint produced by beef cattle is much smaller than the print left behind by planes, trains, and automobiles. Spreading false information not only has the potential to bankrupt our ranchers, but also add to the number of those dying from starvation. Proactively educating the decision makers in our world is the only way to change how the public perceives agriculture. So when you hear someone give a cow a bad rep for burping, remind them that burp is a simple part of the recycling process helping to feed our world. Thank you.
Amy. Thank you very much, Amy. That was a very interesting and informative speech. And we're going to take a little break now while the judges judge your speech, and then we'll be hearing the next student in a few minutes.
I thought what we could talk about during this little break is the scholarships that are offered by the district, and not just by the district, but by the clubs and by Rotary International. At the club level, there's a number, pretty much all the clubs that I'm aware of have some form of sponsorships, of scholarships. Some are large, some are small, but they're all, money that can help with your education. So, you might, whatever club sponsored you might ask them if they have any kind of scholarships available that you could qualify for or apply for. This contest is a great example of scholarships offered by our district. We'll actually give out, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500 if you add it all up worth of scholarships after we're done here. We have within our district a couple of other scholarships that we do using money from our Rotary Foundation. One of them is the Costa Rica, and it's a medical internship that you go to be a part of a medical brigade in Costa Rica. Again, the COVID virus squashed our plans on that one this year, but hopefully we'll be back again next year. It helps if you're studying some kind of a medical field, because there is a lot of medical work that's involved, and you can do it whenever you're in college, anywhere from your it's an undergraduate opportunity that you can take advantage of pretty much any time during your undergraduate career, but most of them that go are sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And again, that's at the district level, and you can talk with any of your clubs about that. We also do a veteran scholarship. So people that are veterans, we can help them out in various ways. And then we also have what's called a global grant scholarship. It's an international scholarship, and it's at the graduate level to help you earn your graduate degree. And it's at least, at minimum, a $30,000 scholarship, and can actually be more. We currently have students in London right now. Well, I think they're still there, but anyway, that's where we currently have students signed up. We have another one getting ready to go to New Zealand, and another one getting ready to go to London in the next school year, which hopefully will all work out. So that's just a real quick overview of some of our scholarship opportunities for the district. And we also have a district website. It's called Rotary District 5930.org. And you can go and find more information on all the scholarships at that website. Back to Tim.
Thank you, Ellison. Looks like Justin's already on the screen. Can you hear me, Justin?
Yes, sir.
All right, Justin, good. What we're going to do, Justin, do you see on your screen there something that says timer?
Let me see. 1 second. The green screen, yes.
All right, that's the place to look to make sure that you hit the minimum speaking time and don't go over the maximum speaking time. And as soon as you start speaking in your speech, the timekeeper will start the clock, and we're ready to listen to you whenever you're ready to start.
Thank you. Enlightenment thinker Immanuel Kant wanted our society to ask what a truly moral person looks like. He wondered, if all humans have the ability to think and make their own choices, then what is the best way to treat them? Even more, what is the best way to be a good person? My question to the four-way Rotary test is, should we be honest all the time with no exceptions? I mean, absolutely under no exception is it okay to lie. I want you to imagine what a perfect world looks like. One of the most important values in this world is honesty. Honesty enables us to evaluate the next best choice and pick the one that makes us into the people we want to be. Thus, we should never lie because we don't know who, how, or what is going to get hurt. In a world of perfection, what does complete honesty do for us? The truth is that our lives would be much better if we all collectively agreed not to lie. Kant wants us to evaluate the good of an action by how well we're considering the dignity of other people. He thought that if we considered everyone to be our equals, then we could rationally see that we should be consistent with our thoughts and actions. A good will is about emphasizing equality and respecting the needs of others when we do something. We have several crises right now happening because of how we don't value other people, unreliable business, and personal irresponsibility. Being honest is integral to the survival of our society, and it may sound pretentious, but think of the violations of humanity in the following examples in this speech. It would be fair to all concerned if every individual of an organization held that organization accountable for its actions. According to Yahoo Finance, from 2016 to 2019, Wells Fargo had 9 scandals. The crazy part is really trying to understand how they hadn't learned their lesson by the 5th lawsuit, but I digress. The first one was opening 3.5 million fake accounts with their customers' names, as well as 500,000 credit cards. It's a blow in confidence to us normal folk to all of a sudden not be able to trust a teller. The whole economy operates on a basis of assuming that organizations will carry out their moral obligations correctly. But I want you to ask yourself, why didn't the workers say something sooner? It's one thing to be worried about what will happen to you, but Kant thought that a really good person would always defend others, even at their own expense. The most important thing to understand about Kant and his theory about lying is that its core is about protecting the freedom of everyone. Not lying builds goodwill and better friendships because it reinforces the integrity that you give to the people around you. It places a real responsibility onto you to be a part of something greater than yourself. Those Wells Fargo's employees should have said something if they could have. The managers that were being pressured by the upper management should have been able to do something about their situation. Kant thinks of humanity as this global connection, similar in the Christian belief that we're all brothers and sisters. You would do everything to protect your family, but Kant thinks it's the same thing to protect the lives of families you don't know. Imagine yourself as a police officer. The goal is to protect and serve the community and the interests of the people across the world. This requires you to imagine yourself as an individual and a part of the bigger picture of the story of everyone's success. In his view, immoral people are bad people because they don't have the responsibility to first and foremost care about the dignity of others. He doesn't expect us to be perfect, but he thought a good habit for the people around you was to always do your best for who you can. Complete honesty is beneficial to all concerned. Kant thought that honesty was really a form of common sense in the Western world, in which people pride themselves on things like education, finance, and charity. The way things should work is if you want money, you should be honest. If your product is good, then people will buy it. Honesty is a reason for us to do better, and it would make all sorts of businesses, politics, medicine, and interpersonal life better. With that said, thalidomide. For those of you who may not be familiar, thalidomide was a pharmaceutical drug for morning sickness in the 1960s. The drug could cause central nervous damage and physical deformity if taken while pregnant. It affected an estimated 10,000 infants. But the company knew 6 months in advance that there was evidence for birth deformity. Yet they decided to continue. Each person who didn't do the right thing to stop this when they could have is, to Kant, responsible for all the pain the drug caused. In this worldview, there is no room for "I was just following orders." Good moral actors are people who always fight injustice in the workplace to the best of their ability. Why is it such a bad thing to make exceptions to morality? If I say you should never lie, some people say, okay, I lied, now what? You can't trust those kinds of people. They're the reason we have these issues to begin with. When someone senses that they're above morality, they're saying that they're above humanity and have no reason to respect you. Complete transparency is about upholding true justice and fairness out of compassion to indiscriminately bring goodwill and benefits to everyone. The most fundamental principle in all thriving societies is that no one individual has the right to hurt others. If you or someone cared about something deeply, why would you want to be the reason someone is let down? Kant thinks that reason is what makes us equal. What makes every person equally valuable is their infinite potential to do great and wonderful things. So the next time you're a manager being pressured, a scientist who sees some weird data, or a man of the law trying to resolve a conflict, remember, you'll live with the choices you make. So make sure they're good ones, because nobody can measure the future. Thank the four-way Rotary test. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Justin. Excellent speech. And we're going to take a little break here now while the judges score your speech. And then our next student will be speaker number 10, Ximena.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to talk about now, and by the way, aren't these great speeches? It's awesome. What I'd like to talk about now is Rotary's response to COVID. And we are doing a lot at the different levels. And I'll kind of tell you, and I won't be able to cover all of it because there's so much going on. But the first thing is we were able to find in our district budget, because of different meetings that ended up not happening and functions and stuff, we found about $10,000 that we were able to give out in grants to the clubs, and we're in the process of doing that right now. The deadline was last night. Every club can apply for up to $500. Juan Lira might be able to tell us exactly how many we got, but I think it was close to 20 requests, and we'll be sending those checks out next week. But it varied from helping the local food bank to doing masks to helping at a senior center, feeding meals. So there was all kinds of possibilities out there for the different clubs all over our district are going to be doing, which is great, and it's very grassroots. Then Rotary has what's called a district or a disaster response grant. It's a $25,000 grant. Any district can apply for it. We have applied for a disaster response grant. We have not gotten approval yet. We expect to, assuming that funds are there. There's side note, they're actually having a telethon this morning to raise money for the district for the disaster response grant. So hopefully they're doing very well over there in that telethon. And if ultimately the money comes in, then we will get some of it back. We did give some out of our funds to the disaster response grants as well. So we're practicing what we're preaching. There's also global grants, and I don't really have time to go into that, but there's global grants that clubs and districts can apply for to provide PPE, medical equipment, support services, etc. And so I know a lot of those are happening as well. So Rotary's doing a lot to address the pandemic. and it's going to be ongoing, I'm sure, for a while. But those are just some examples. Tim?
All right, I think we're ready to go for our next speaker, number 10, Ximena, and I think I saw Ximena already here. So
Yes.
Ximena, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, Ximena, do you see a little box on your screen there that says timer on it?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's the place to look to make sure that you speak long enough and don't speak too long. And the timekeeper will begin recording you when you begin your speech, and we'll be happy to begin listening to you whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So imagine one day you receive the dreadful news that you will need to undergo an organ transplant surgery to save your life. However, instead of having to wait the usual 3 to 5 years, you will have a brand new healthy organ in 3 days max. Wouldn't that be amazing? How would that even be possible? Well, through human cloning, of course. The organ will have to be harvested from a living human clone in order to save your life. Although this sounds like a perfect scenario, we ask the question today, should we as humankind, as a society, ever allow human cloning? Well, let's put it to the Rotary Club's four-way test and find out. Question number 1, is it the truth? Well, cloning in general is possible. Cloning actually happens both naturally and artificially. Human twins are a form of natural cloning. Since they come from the same fertilized egg and then split off into two, this classifies them as a natural set of clones. Dolly the sheep back in 1996 is a form of artificial cloning because Dolly was made in a laboratory and grown from an adult somatic cell. So yes, it is true that cloning is possible and can possibly lead to human cloning in the possible near future. It is also true that some people may benefit from human clones. Today, if someone needs an organ transplant surgery, they would have to wait nearly half a decade before they can go ahead and receive the donor organ and go into surgery. With human clones, those years will be shortened down to weeks, maybe even days. Doesn't that sound amazing? So yes, those two truths are very possible. Second question, is it fair? The answer to that question is no. If we were to ever allow human cloning, who would be the first to have access? Would it be the rich because they can actually afford the manufacturing of human clones? Would it be people with health insurance because we will list the use of human clones as a health benefit? Would the poor receive the human clones with defects because that's all they can afford? It has been shown throughout history that the rich and wealthy will always be priority when it comes to health and safety. Today, with the coronavirus, the rich and wealthy have had better preparation and better access to coronavirus testing kits than the regular public. If this is just with a novel virus testing kit, imagine the privilege, the advantage they will have with the unlimited access to the life-changing benefits of human clones. So no, it would not be fair to all concerned if we ever allow human cloning. Now, hear me out. What about the human clones themselves? I mean, a human clone would come from a human embryo, so would a human clone that comes from a human embryo have the same rights as you and me? Especially here in the United States of America, where every person has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That human clone, would their life count? And if we were to decide, you want to know what, their life does count, that human clone is my equal, then who are we to decide their fate and what is to happen with their bodies? So no, is human cloning no way, shape, or form ethical nor fair? Question number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Again, the answer to that question is no. We will not build friendships and build peace and build unity in our society. If anything, we will start to lose our humanity. We'll force human clones to do very physically demanding tasks that we don't want to do. We'll make them work 24/7 and pay them nothing because human clones are not really human, right? Then there's the infamous black markets. Earlier this year in China, a black market was busted for reselling used face masks to the public during this coronavirus pandemic. Due to their greedy and corrupt actions, they caused many more people to contract the virus. If a black market was able to cause that much damage just by reselling used face masks, imagine the horrors, the dangers black markets will have if they were to ever even get their hands on human clones. They'll sell them as sex slaves instead of selling, real humans. They'll harvest their organs illegally and do more inhumane things because human clones are not really human, right? In the near future, we won't need human clones for health reasons. We'll turn to designer babies where we'll handpick the genetics and handpick the appearance of our children rather than letting nature take its course. And we'll create, instead of a child being able to be born through the natural process, we'll make little Build-A-Bear workshops, but for babies. Doesn't that sound crazy? If we were to ever allow human cloning to take place in our society, we will start to view the human body as an object that should be used to satisfy our own needs rather than building goodwill with others and loving people for who they are. The fourth and final question, will it be beneficial to all concerned? The answer to that question is no. Our economy would suffer. People will lose their jobs to superhuman clones with superhuman abilities. It'll start with factory workers, work up to people who bag your groceries at the grocery store, teachers, nurses, and doctors. People will have less to do and people will become idle. And when this happens, like the saying goes, idle hands are the devil's playground. So you bet the crime rate will skyrocket. We will not benefit from human clones. We would only be adding baggage to our society. So going back to the question, should we as humankind, as a society, ever allow human cloning, has failed the Rotary Club's four-way test because it is not something that's going to enrich our way of life. Even if human clones were to be viewed as a human with rights or just another thing that makes our life easier, we will lose all the qualities that makes us human. Gandhi once said, the greatness of humanity is not in being human, but in being humane. Our empathy, our pain, our suffering, our authenticity, our flaws, our love is what makes us who we are. So we should keep it all, the good and the bad, and use it to build, form, and shape a better tomorrow. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much, Ximena. That was a very thoughtful speech. We're going to take a few minutes now to let the judges score your speech, and then we'll be hearing in a few minutes from our last speaker, number 11, Angel.
All right, I'm almost out of things to talk about. But no, there's always something to talk about when it comes to Rotary. Earlier, we talked about the themes, and I told you that Rotary Connects the World was the theme this year, and then next year will be Rotary Opens Opportunities, both very appropriate for our world today. We also have a district theme that we have every year, and this year our district theme was Rooted in Service. It still is through the end of June, Rooted in Service. So the idea is that as Rotarians, Rotaractors, Interactors, however we're involved in Rotary, the number one reason that we get involved for the most part is to perform service in our community. Our motto, Rotary's motto, is service above self. And basically that just means that, you put your own needs aside and you look at the needs of the community, the world, and try to address those needs, regardless of what your needs are. So service above self is something that as you talk to Rotarians, you will hear them talk about service above self. And so indeed, we are rooted in service. We also have what's called the 5 lanes of service, and local, international, youth, community. And we're actually kind of doing youth service this morning with our 4-way test speech contest. Our theme next year is going to be Lend a Hand, and that will be Eddie's theme, which obviously is kind of a takeoff. I shouldn't say that probably, but it's a takeoff on service, because what we're doing when we lend a hand is we're serving others. And so So I'm sure, you know, that's going to be very appropriate, and Eddie will carry that forward. So anyway, that's just a few of our themes for the district level. We do that every year, and we kind of to give us a focus and something to strive for. So I'll turn it back over to Tim.
Thank you, Ellison. It looks like Angel, I saw you show up there. Can you hear me, Angel?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, good. We can hear you very well. So Angel, do you see a little screen on your screen there that says timer?
Yes, sir, I do.
That's the place to look to make sure you speak long enough and don't speak too long. And as soon as you begin your speech, the timekeeper will begin recording. So we'll be pleased to hear your speech when you're ready to start.
Thank you so much. Has anyone ever won one of those superlative awards, such as best dressed, funniest in class, or hardest worker? Anyone? Well, just the other day, I was rummaging through some of my old second grade binders my mom had kept on the shelf. At the very end, I came across an award voted by my classmates. It said, the greatest drama queen in class, me. At the time, I was ecstatic because my best friend and I were always comparing who was the greater drama queen. At the moment, I laughed to myself about how minuscule my problems were, comparing myself to others just to win a piece of paper. But now thinking back, I thought about the world around me. Little did I know this game of comparing yourself to others had never stopped. I thought about everything I did, and I was constantly comparing myself to others, whether that be through grades, sports, debate, musical talents, characteristics, so on and so forth. So the question I present here today is this. Is comparing oneself to others actually beneficial? Or is it ultimately crushing, destroying, and degrading one's self-esteem and tearing apart humanity? Well, let's put it to the four-way Rotary test, shall we? First, is it the truth? According to the American Institute of Stress, the National Association for College Admissions Counseling supported these claims. They said that colleges are looking most closely at grades, high school curriculum, and test scores as a top determining factor for choosing their incoming freshmen. Students work even harder to try to make their application seem better than their peers. And while this continuous stress of trying to be better than someone or simply looking at what they have that you don't, not only affects the physical exhaustion, but the mental health as well too. An article published in 2016 said that based upon studies, surveys, and other online information, 70% of teens admit of feeling that they weren't good enough or didn't meet high enough expectations. By the age of 17, 78% of girls felt that they were unhappy with their bodies, and 90% of them admitted feeling pressured from themselves to change a certain way they look or act. A survey by Dr. Aaron Beck once said that over 80% of depressed people expressed dislike for themselves, that they saw themselves deficient in those qualities that they deem most highly valued, such as intelligence, popularity, attractiveness, physical health, and strength. Is having low self-esteem really fair to yourself? It leads us to our next question. Is it fair to all concerned? I'm gonna just put it out there. Life isn't exactly fair. There's always going to be people naturally gifted and talented in certain aspects or more built for a certain scenario. So in a way, we can say that no, life isn't fair. But we must acknowledge that that is the beauty of humanity. Each and every individual unique and special in their own way. Imagine a young girl. She enjoyed singing, so she sang day and night, and even in her sleep. So one day she joined a singing competition. As she awaited her turn, the next contestant began performing, his voice smooth as silk, harmonious words blending back and forth. Suddenly, one thought popped into her mind. I'll never be as good as him. So right then and there, she quit. Who knows what could have happened if she hadn't let that little thought slip into her mind. This concept of comparing yourself to others just obstructs the idea of understanding and developing your own skills, talents, and passions. And as I depicted above, comparing oneself to others leads to many thought bubbles popping up in one's mind, which brings us to the next observation. Will it build goodwill and better friendships? She's so much prettier than me. He always gets first. Hey, did you hear she's gonna get a higher raise than me? This issue affects our thought process. which then leads to our interactions with one another. While looking at coworkers, classmates, and peers' performances may be beneficial, it too often becomes harmful. Now, going back to the question of goodwill and better friendships. What is goodwill? Goodwill is defined as friendly, helpful, or cooperative feelings or attitude. Did the attitude I present above feel friendly or helpful? No. This internal dialogue isn't going to build better friendships either. It'll ultimately lead to tensions between the two, whether that be at a workplace, school, or just a public scenery. While having positive human interactions is an essential part of humanity, we must take into account, will it be beneficial to all concerned? What do you gain from comparing yourself? The sad truth is that there's always going to be someone out there better than you. Constantly wrapping your mind around these negative thoughts only hurts you and making you less productive. By comparing yourself to others, how does that benefit others? Honestly, it doesn't. As I mentioned before, this tension of seeing who is better will lead to many friendships being broken. It doesn't benefit anyone. Well, after all that being said, I guess it's safe to say that comparing oneself to others and looking at its impacts, according to this test, and ultimately failing it, it isn't advantageous to our society. I have a confession to make. Once I won that award, I remember feeling happy and always boasting about it. But because of my selfishness and pride and thoughts of comparing myself, it cost me to gradually lose one of my closest friends. There's a fine line between looking up to others, seeing them as a role model, and a friendly competition versus continuously putting yourself or others down by comparing yourself. So as I'm learning from my mistakes, I believe that comparing yourself to others isn't going to resolve anything, but rather we should cooperate and accept one another and ourselves to build an even greater society as one. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Angel. That was a very, very interesting and outstanding speech, just like all the others we heard. And what we're going to do now is Justin is going to put me and the other judges into a separate room. And I estimate it'll probably take about 20, maybe 30 minutes for the judges to figure out among all these 11 outstanding speeches, and they were all outstanding. I mean that in all sincerity, who's going to come in first, second, and third. So just hang tight. And students, what we would like you to do is if you would start in the same order that you were speaker. So speaker number one, Melina, just tell us, tell the other folks on the line here after Justin moves me and the judges into the separate room, where you go to school, what your full name is, things you're interested in. And you don't have to be real brief in that. It's going to take, probably 20, 30 minutes. So if you want to each speak for 2 minutes, I know we'd all be delighted to hear it, but if you don't want to have to speak that long, that's okay too. And maybe it's a topic that interests me and probably some of the other folks on the phone call here, the Zoom call, who don't have kids in school anymore. Maybe tell us what you like about not being in school and what you miss about being in school. And I feel sorry for you seniors. You guys are missing out. So Justin, if you could scoot me and the other judges over into the separate room, and you guys can start that as soon as Justin gives the word that he's done that.
All right, Melina, you go right on ahead. Take your time.
Okay. My name is Melina Garcia. I am from Edinburgh, Texas, born and raised. I'm a senior at Edinburgh North High School, and I am going to attend the University of Texas A&M at College Station in the hopes of majoring in chemical engineering. So I've always been in love with math and science for as long as I can remember. I used to play volleyball for my 10 years of my entire life. Sophomore year was when I realized that I didn't have much drive to do volleyball. And that's when I joined UIL. I compete competitively for math and science in UIL. And that's just what kind of like sparked in me. Is like, oh, I'm a nerd, but I'm okay with that. So I have 4 sisters, no brothers. So poor my dad. We all are girls. Even our dog is a girl. So, but they're my number one supporters. I am eternally grateful for everything that they've done for me, especially when I said, I'm gonna quit volleyball, sorry. And they said, do what you love. We're here to support you. My 2 older sisters attended A&M. My oldest graduated and is in New Mexico watching this. So hello, sister. And my other sister is still there and she wants to continue into vet school. So seeing them do what they love with no restrictions really inspired me just to keep going with what I love doing, no matter what anybody says. So doing this is the speech really reflects on how I felt and what I do feel now, and how I want everybody to know that it's possible just to do what you love, no restrictions. So thank you for having me here.
This is Debbie. Thank you so much for that. And what might you be enjoying most about not being physically in school, and what might you miss the most right now about not being in school?
Well, waking up is hard at school. I woke up like at 6 a.m. every morning. It was not fun. I mean, I like the mornings, but not too early in the morning. So I guess sleeping in is nice, but I do miss being with my friends, you know, seeing them, talking to them. I mean, we do have Zoom and we have our phones, but it's just different when you don't have that physical contact, just to hug them, say, hey, I'm in the Rotary speaking contest. And instead of just seeing them on the phone, them cheering on. So I definitely do miss my friends. I miss going or being able to experience, you know, prom or graduation. But I know that good will come to this, and my family are also here. It's not like I'm alone, and everyone else is not suffering, but is going through this tough time together. So I know I'm not alone. So it makes it a little easier to deal with.
Good outlook, and thanks for sharing that. And if we could have Amy and Rama maybe turn their video back on. And Justin, are you ready for number 2 to introduce herself?
Can I introduce myself already?
Yes, Estrella,
Okay.
go on ahead.
Okay, hi. My name is Estrella Lozano, and I'm from Bronzeville, Texas, which is right at the tip of Texas. So I'm like in the far south. It's really hot down here. It's very humid too. But yeah, it's basically like Mexico, because I mean, it's like 15 minutes away. So I have like both cultures all the time. It's really cool. I am going to be attending the University of Texas in Austin this fall, and hook 'em. And I'll be studying corporate communications. So I've always wanted to study communications. Actually, no, let me backtrack. Actually, as a freshman, I wanted to be an attorney. And halfway through, I kind of switched my mind and I was like, no, I'm going into communications instead. But I wanted a minor in business. And then learning about the University of Texas, I found out that I could do both in one major. And that's when I decided to do corporate communications. So I hope that one day with this degree, I could be a public specialist and hopefully work with a big company. I always say I'm going to be the face of Google one day. Let's see if that happens. And yeah, I'm the eldest of 3 children in my home. I have a 4-year-old brother and a 13-year-old sister. So I've always kind of been the leader here at home. I show them around, I tell them what they have to do. Sometimes they don't like that, but I'm going to tell them anyway, because that's what the oldest sister does, right? So yeah, I mean, it's really interesting being here at home, having them all the time. I wasn't used to it, especially my little brother. He's always with me all the time. And I guess just having them closer to me is going to make me miss them a lot more once I leave in the fall. But you know, it's part of growing up, and I am looking forward to it. And I really do hope that school's open by then, because you know, I really want to go and live in this new environment, and it's just something I've always been looking forward to. As for school, towards the end of this year, I take university classes at my school, so I don't take any more high school classes. So school work is pretty lenient, while I was at school, so it's not much of a difference now that I'm at home. But I do really, really miss my friends and my teachers. I mean, I'm pretty close to some of my teachers. And, you know, the last day of school was the day before spring break. And I didn't know that that was going to be my last day at school. So I didn't really spend much time with the people I would be missing a lot. And, you know, that's kind of something I regret, but hopefully this lifts pretty soon so I can see them again before I leave. And yeah.
Thank you, Estrella. Let's see, Alyssa, would you like to give us a rundown of who you are and what you do?
Hi, I'm Alyssa Hinojosa, and I am a student from Aransas Pass High School, and I'm a senior. After I graduate, I plan to pursue a bachelor's degree in music education at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. When I was a freshman, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was really shy. I wasn't really interested in a lot of things, but music has like shaped me into the person I am today. Like when I was a junior, I became a drum major. And when you become a drum major, they send you off to Texas A&M Kingsville's drum major camp. It's like a leadership camp. And it was because of that, I was able to go to the leadership camp in Temuk. And then afterwards, they sent me to Ryla. And I've been to Ryla. It's been 2 years now. I've been at Ryla. And it was there at those 2 different leadership camps that I realized that I have a love for teaching, and I really want to impact students the way that music impacted my life. So I think that'd be really cool because I love teaching. Like I teach all the time, like at summer band. I'm kind of upset that school's over because I don't get to go teach this summer, but tear. I wish that we were still in school, honestly. I do not like being at home at all.
Right. Thank you so much,
And you've gone through that twice because I'm in Rockport, so I understand on the hurricane side.
Yeah.
And Justin is with the Kingsville Rotary Club. So when you get to Kingsville, maybe you get a Rotaract Club started because we've been trying to get one started there. And I know A&M Corpus Christi, where my club sponsors the Rotaract Club, would be more than happy to help you get one started there. And I know Justin and his club would be too. So
I had started trying to do that here in Aransas. I had talked to the Rotary Club about doing something like that, but then COVID-19 happened and the ideas we had won't work because of social distancing. So I'm kind of sad.
well, we can look forward to Rotaract. We'll be happy. We've got a whole team in the district that can help Justin and help you get that going next year. We'll look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All right, Andrea, are you ready to, you're on muting and I keep remuting you. I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Montenegro Polanco, and I'm a sophomore at Flower Bluff High School in Corpus Christi. Right now, I don't have many plans for my future, so I can't really tell y'all what I'm going to major in or what college I'm going to go to. All I really know is that I want to be in the medical field, and I want to stay in Texas. So, you know, maybe UT, A&M, Rice, and Houston, you know, yeah. I'm looking into those colleges. Right now with COVID, I've just been home a lot. School has been interesting. I actually enjoy being able to do school through a computer because I can go at my own pace. But some classes, pre-calculus, chemistry, it's kind of hard to do it through a screen when you don't have your teachers there with you. So I've been having a hard time with that. I'm also terrified for AP exams. I only have one because I am like a sophomore, but I'm still really scared. I feel like it's going to be interesting. As far as school, I don't think there's much else. My family is doing pretty well. I have a little brother. He's here with me. Hello. My mom, she's an essential worker, so she's been spending a lot of time at work. She has little shifts, so she spends like a week at work and then she comes home. My stepdad's also an essential worker, so he's always working. So it's just me and my brother here, but honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm just ready to get out there and start living life. I want summer 2020 to be great. And I'm just ready for this whole COVID-19 to go away and it just to be a distant memory. That's all I have, but thank you guys. And I'm so happy that I was able to participate in this.
Thank you so much for joining us, Andrea. Thank you very much for that. All right, Rama, are you ready to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, also I'm sorry, my camera was just being weird before, but my name is Rama. I'm a senior at Victoria West High School, and I'll be attending the University of Texas at Austin in the fall. Right now, my major is government. I'm hoping to make a profession in the political field, go into politics. Some things that I've done. I'm student council president at my school. I'm a part of the speech and debate team. I was an active member of the theater. I played soccer for a little bit. And yeah, I'm, as Andrea was saying, I'm really excited for COVID-19 to be over so I can go, because I'm a type of person that really just can't sit at home for too long. So I'm excited to go out and be able to do things soon, hopefully.
Great, thank you so much. All right. Brian, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. My name is Brian Pena. I'm from Westlaco High School, so Westlaco, Texas, kind of the middle of the valley. I'm a junior, so because of that, I do band, UUL specifically, speech and debate. I've done that for several years. My interests, I've always loved government and political science. It's about 8th grade. This past year, probably the last 2 years, I started interning. So I guess being at home away from school isn't a big change. I enjoy being able to go at my own pace, but I spend most of my time volunteering for the campaign. So it keeps me busy. So that's the main thing. With regards to school, because I'm only a junior, I've only applied to a few places, but right now I'm hoping to go to Georgetown in Washington just to pursue political science.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brian. All right, Zach, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Zeferino Campean. Zach is my nickname because it's ZAC, my initials. So I'll be studying business at the Macomb School of Business at UT Austin this fall. So I'm pretty excited for that. Hopefully all this COVID stuff is gone by then, or the restrictions are eased. I miss school. I miss seeing my friends and going out and hanging out with them. Because right now it's supposed to be the best part of senior year, but everything happens for a reason. So we'll get through this, and yeah.
Great, thank you, Zach. And Amy Kaye, would you like to tell us something about yourself?
Yes, sir. Thank you. My name's Amy Kaye Mathis, and I'm 15. I'm a freshman, but I'm homeschooled. I also take online classes at Coastal Bend College, and I'm from Kingsville, and I hope to go to Texas A&M. My older brother and sister both are there at the moment, and they're both majoring in ag, and I hope to major in ag business. I show market and breeding sheep, and I used to show goats and steers for market. And my family really treats that like a sport. So that's my version of a sport for homeschool. And then I'm in 4-H, and that's how I show my animals. And I'm also the second vice president of our county council for our youth. And I'm the president of my 4-H club. But my real passion is music, and I lead the worship band at my church, the youth worship band at my church, and I play several instruments and sing. My favorite instrument is probably bass, though. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. All right, other Justin, would you like to give us a little introduction?
Hello, my name is Justin Pastrano. I'm from Alice, Texas, but I live in San Diego, so both worlds.
I'm going to be attending the University of Texas at Austin at the McComb School of Business and the Liberal Arts College for Philosophy. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's great. I love it. I've worked at it, try to get it to be good. Yeah, this break I've just been trying to read on whatever I haven't had the chance to read this past year. So right now I'm working through, I just finished The Hobbit, and now I'm gonna reading The Green Mile, and then I'm gonna finish that and move back into Lord of the Rings. I like to take a break from philosophy. I figured I should finish all the books I didn't get to finish my freshman year, and like around that time, and just move on inwards into college, and the more and more like time-consuming stuff is Immanuel Kant can't write to save his life. Man, in German, in the original German translation, Immanuel Kant's writing are long run-on sentences, and it's better to read the translations of Kant into English because the translators had to break up his run-on sentences for them to make sense for us. So people in Germany typically read Kant in English. So I'm putting that off for a little longer and just taking the easy road.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And Ximena, would you like to tell us something about yourself?
My name's Ximena Nunez. I go to the Statics Academy over here in Laredo, Texas at TAMU. Fun fact is that I'm going to be graduating with a class of 50 people. I am class president. And when I grow up, well, not grow up, but like in a couple of years from now, I'm hoping to be a teacher, and hopefully before, like in 2 years, by the time I'm 19, I'll be a Texas certified teacher. And I'm probably going to be teaching elementary level, bilingual, or I'm going to be teaching in the high school a Spanish course. So that's fun. So, and another thing to share, this was a really awesome experience. I wanted to do it last year, but my counselor told me, no, don't do it because you need to leave it up to the seniors, and none of the seniors ended up doing it. So I just looked at her like really like I had an opportunity to come last year. She was all like, no, I'm sorry. And I'm like, well. So I'm like really happy for this experience. It kind of sucks with the COVID because it would have been a lot better to like do it in front of like the crowd and stuff. But this is just as good, and you know, it was really nice meeting all of you guys. You guys are all really nice and super impressive, and it's just awesome. So yeah.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And Angel, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you all so much for just taking your time and listening to us. My name is Angel Tung. I'm a junior at Calhoun High School this year. Not quite sure what I want to major in, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards business in that aspect. I'm in band, both marching band and concert band. I'm in varsity tennis. I'm in student council. I'm in robotics. I do UIL speech and debate for my school. And last year I also did UIL science and current events. I'm also in NHS, and yeah, it's just I do a lot of extracurriculars and they take up a lot of my time, but I really enjoy them. That's why when COVID kind of hit, it was like everything in my life was just like put on a pause. Like I had so many, like in my planner, I had everything written out, like districts, competitions, UIL, like everything. And it just all like stopped. But even though like the circumstances aren't like the brightest, my sister once told me it's what a time to be alive, and I agree with that. It's kind of cool just being able to live in the moment and live where like history is being made. So yeah, that's about it.
Wonderful. Thank you, Angel, for that. I would also like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the lady behind the screen. Deb Brandstetter is our official timer, and this is probably the first time that you've seen her in real life as we can get. And so I wanted to thank you, Deb, for the time and energy that you put into making this a success. And would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, sure. Deb Brandstetter from the Kingsville Noon Rotary Club. First of all, I wanted to say congratulations to all of our students presenting today. You guys did an amazing job. And I know the judges are going to have a very tough time in scoring and figuring out who is going to be the winner at the district level, because you guys all did an amazing job. So congratulations to you. I've loved hearing your stories and what you plan to do, because it sounds wonderful. And I know you guys are going to go and do everything you set your minds to. So appreciate you guys being here. And thank you for Justin for the opportunity to speak. This has been a lot of fun. I've managed and coordinated the Rotary test, or I'm sorry, let me take a deep breath, the four-way test at our club level for several years now. And we always have, amazing students that come through, and I've been to several of the district competitions, and it's always wonderful to see the students that come through and the topics that they choose to speak about and put the four-way test to. It's always very enlightening, and it's a very good time to see everybody from around our district as well. So anyway, thank you guys for being here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity and Zooming with you guys, and best of luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deb. And Eddie, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you like to give us any words of wisdom and encouragement? And for those of you that don't know, Eddie Bartnetsky is our district governor-elect. And so this upcoming Rotary year, beginning July 1, he will be our captain. And so Eddie, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you, Justin. Yes, can y'all hear me? Okay, yes. Well, thank you. As you said, my name is Eddie Bartnetsky. I'll be serving as district governor starting in July 1. If there may be some background noise here, I have some screaming grandkids running around, and so you may be hearing some background, but that's okay. But I'm excited about the year coming up. It's going to be very challenging, totally different from what we're used to, uncharted waters, as I say, but it's a challenge. Our Rotary theme is going to work out very well. It's opening some opportunities that we never thought would exist, but they're here. My district theme is going to work out hand in hand. It's lend a helping hand. So we're going to be lending a lot of helping hands as we go forward, because there's a lot of need with this. But I want to thank each of you for participating today. There was each one of you did an excellent job. It's going to be very hard to judge who comes out on top. There has to be a winner, but I think in my mind, you're all winners, and I think you'll all do very well in life and what your plans are. But don't let this situation stop you. Let's keep moving forward, and whatever you set your mind on, you can do. Never say I can't, because you can do anything that you set your mind to. So good luck to you, and I hope you will continue forward. And as you progress in your careers, that you will join a Rotary Club in your community, because I think that's an excellent way to give back to the community. The community has been so good to us, so it's time for us to give back. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Eddie. We appreciate your time here. And from the district governor-elect to the district governor, Ellison, would you like to give us any more encouraging words?
Yeah, I was thinking about what Eddie was saying about the, hopefully you'll join a Rotary Club, and that is true. But hopefully you will join if you're still going to be in high school next year. If you're not already a member of Interact, I hope you will join your Interact club. I'm on an iPad, so I can't see everybody, I don't think, but if you're in Interact, raise your hand. I only see Estrella.
I see 3.
Oh,
Estrella, Andrea, Melina.
And Melina. Okay, cool. Well, I'm glad you guys are. Who was Flower Bluff?
That was me.
That was Andrea.
Andrea. Yeah. So Flower Bluff just happens to be my club's Interact club. I'm in the Corpus Christi Evening Club. So we sponsor you guys. It's a great club, and you got great membership. Y'all do a lot of really great service. I know you've been a little derailed with the COVID deal, but anyway, they do a lot of good. I'm sure the other ones do as well. But anyway, if you're still in high school and you're not in Interact and you have an Interact club, please join one. And then when you get to college, don't be shy. Go out and find the Rotaract club at your college. Or like if you're at TAMU-K, don't be shy again. Go and see Justin and Deb, and let's start a Rotaract club at TAMU-K. I know that it would do well. So I don't really know anything about the UT or the A&M Rotaract clubs, but I'm sure they have them. So anyway, that's going to be a good deal, and it will keep you connected to Rotary throughout your college career, and then as you graduate, like Eddie said, go join a Rotary club, or maybe just stay in Rotaract, but just continue to be in Rotary. Rotaract now is actually a part of Rotary. Like if you're in Rotaract, they consider you basically to be a Rotarian, and it's just a different club that you're a member of. So it's really, like I said earlier, they're really putting a lot of focus on Rotaract, because truly you all are the future of Rotary, and we really hope that you will carry that on. So what else did I not talk about? Oh, Debbie mentioned something to me. Rotary has a, let me see if I can pull it up here because I never can remember it. Rotary has a, Rotary has a theme, or not a theme, but a vision. And the Rotary International Vision Statement is, together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. And I mean, really, that's what it's all about, is to create, number one, together. So we're doing it as a team. We see a world, so we're worldwide, where we unite, we take action, and we create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. Rotary actually has a foundation, and it's a very big foundation. It's a highly rated foundation all over the world. And we have what's called 6 areas of focus, things like water and sanitation, education, literacy, maternal and child health, peace and conflict resolution. And all of those things, all of those areas, we have people out in the world doing global grants, projects. We have one actually starting in Honduras right now, where we're going to bring water, and it's sponsored by our district. We're going to bring running water to, I believe it's around 9,000 people that do not have running water right now. By the time they finish the project, they will have running clean water. And those are the kinds of projects, that's just an example of the kind of projects that we do all over the world. Now, y'all will be interested to know, because somebody talked about environment, about fossil fuels. It was Amy that talked about that. We do not have an environmental area of focus. And so there is a big push, and actually our district is sponsoring a resolution that's going to be presented to what's called the Council on Legislation, like in the next several months, to do a 7th area of focus, and it will be environment. It will be focused on the environment. So just doing projects that are to conserve the environment, that are protect the environment, and to make the environment better for everybody. So there is a lot of support for that resolution. We are not the only district that has proposed one, but we, it's a really big movement within Rotary to create a 7th area of focus. I see Tim there now. You want to unmute yourself?
Okay, I've been unmuted. I think I've been unmuted. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, before I tell you who the winning students are, there are some people that we need to thank for making this possible. And I'm going to start with the man at the top. That's Ellison Kreider. Ellison is the district governor for District 5930. And some of the other people on this call know, if you're the district governor, because they've done it before, that means being a Rotarian pretty much takes over your whole life for a year as you administer for free the needs of a very large district that stretches all the way from Laredo to Victoria to Brownsville. And so Ellison, first of all, I wish we were doing this in person so we could all give you the big round of applause that you very clearly deserve. And
thank you.
Let's give that to him via Zoom if we could. So we all face some new challenges this year, having the competition due to COVID-19. As I think I mentioned earlier on the call, we couldn't have done it, and they deserve mention again, due to 2 Rotarians, Nancy Paulson and Justin Jones, and they made this possible, and we're very grateful for them. And the people who had a very tough job today were the judges. And the judges were Maxie Hauser, Andy Hagan, Juan Lira and his wife Juanita Lira, and very unexpectedly me. Judge Greg Perks lost his internet connection on the second speaker. So I took over that role so we would have 5 speakers as we had planned. And it reminded me, I'd done this before, how much I dislike this job because it is so hard. All of you students were outstanding. We didn't hear any speech that was anything less than outstanding. And I'm very gratified that all of you are going to get a plaque and $250, because it would be terrible if you walked away from this with nothing given your outstanding speeches today. They were all great, and I certainly could have not done what you did today at your age, especially with scholarship money on the line. Each of you are big time winners, and don't think otherwise, because that would not be true and it would not be fair to you. So that would definitely flunk the 4-way test. Mahatma Gandhi was one of the great men of the 20th century, as you know. And in 2012, I had the honor of visiting the room where Mr. Gandhi was living in New Delhi when he was assassinated 72 years ago, right outside his room on January 30th, 1949. The room had been left just as he had left it when he was killed. His entire possessions were remarkably few. A few simple clothes, his glasses, and a few personal effects that altogether would not have filled up a quarter of a backpack. Yet this great soul with no meaningful physical possessions had a profound and beautiful impact on India and the world. This man's peace-loving strategy for implementing just social change was the decisive tool for liberating his country, India, from colonialism. And that strategy was also borrowed and was instrumental in America's own civil rights struggle for many of our fellow citizens in the 60s and thereafter. The four-way test had not become well known until after Mr. Gandhi's death in 1948, but he would surely approve of the four-way test. He famously said, "Be the change you wish to see in the world. If you want truth, be truthful. If you crave fairness, be fair. If you yearn for peace, honor, and respect, be peaceful, honorable, and respectful with others. Students, the four-way test will assist you as you strive to be the change you wish to see in the world." Thank you for blessing us with your thoughtful and inspiring remarks today. Godspeed, and I wish you many future blessings as you change the world for yourselves and those around you, and the four-way test will help you do that. Seniors, good luck to you in your exciting journeys ahead that you're going to start shortly after graduation, even post-COVID-19. And juniors and younger students, I hope that you will compete in the four-way test again next year. But more importantly, for all of you, I hope that you will treasure and apply the four-way test as you go forward in life. Now, let me tell you about the exceptional young people. Among the outstanding 11 speeches we heard today came in first, second, and third. Our third place student is a student from Area 10 who attends Edinburgh High School, and that is Melina Garcia. Congratulations, Melina. You will win $750 in addition to the $250 from your area. Our second place student is from Area 5. She's a sophomore from Flower Bluff High School, Andrea Montenegro. Congratulations, Andrea. Very well done. And our first place student is from Area 9. This student is a senior from Brownsville Early College High School, Miss Estrella Lozano. Congratulations, Estrella. Congratulations to all of you students. You all did great today. And we all heard outstanding speeches. Very well done. Very well done. And with that, I will yield the floor back to Ellison.
All right. Well, wow, I'm glad I wasn't a judge. That would have been tough. I want to thank the judges as well. Like Tim, I've been a judge before, and I would much rather do what I did today than to be doing that job. So I applaud all of you. Like Tim said, those of you who are juniors or, for example, Andrea, come back and compete again. And you can do that. Hopefully next year, Eddie's going to have his district conference in Harlingen, and hopefully we will all be in Harlingen and doing it live and in person. But I do wish everybody well. I thank all the Rotarians that have participated on the Zoom as well as on YouTube. We did have a good little crowd over on YouTube, I checked, and so that was cool. Another groundbreaking, something that we hadn't done before. So that was pretty neat. But this has been really good, and more than anything, I want to thank Tim Dowling for coordinating, paying attention to the details, and he's just does an outstanding job. And it is teamwork, but he's been the leader on this, and we are very, very lucky to have him help us with the four-way test each year. Congratulations to Estrella, Andrea, and Melina. Y'all did great, and so did everybody else. For the Rotarians out there, I want to invite you next Saturday. We're going to have another part of our district conference. It's going to be from 9 to 11. We in the first part of it, it sounds a little boring, but it's not, I guarantee you. It's strategic planning and visioning, but we're using a really cool tool. It's called, some of the students may have used this, it's called Kahoot. And it allows you to do like online surveys. And so we want to do a bottom-up approach to strategic planning. and we've kind of thrown everything out the door and we're starting over again. We want to get the input on where y'all would like to see your clubs and your district go over the next many years. After that, we have every year for the district conference, we have a president's rep, and it's somebody who the president of Rotary International assigns to your district to come in and be part of the conference. Well, that couldn't happen this year. So the person that was selected, his name is Chris Offer. We actually did get a president's rep. We just didn't get him to come here. Chris Offer, very involved at the highest levels of Rotary, will be our speaker on that Saturday at 10 o'clock. We're still working on another potential speaker, and so we will be letting y'all know who that's going to be over the next couple of days here. But anyway, it's going to be a fun, fast-paced morning, again, kind of like this. And so I would highly recommend, I think you would enjoy being here. The next Saturday, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but our theme this year has been storytelling. So we're going to come together and tell some of our Rotary stories from this year. And we're lining all of that up as well. So anyway, thanks everybody for being here, for spending your morning with us, and especially the students. Good luck and Godspeed to all of you. So have a good rest of the day. Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.